How many lifetimes could be held within the span of a single silk thread? Lin Meifeng often pondered this as her needle, a silver sliver, danced through the tightly stretched fabric. Sunlight, filtered through the old wooden lattice of her Suzhou workshop window, illuminated the dust motes dancing around the frame and caught the iridescent sheen of the phoenix feather she was meticulously bringing to life. Each stitch was a breath, a heartbeat, learned at her grandmother's knee, a legacy passed down through hands that knew the language of silk and shadow. The air smelled faintly of aged wood, dried mulberry leaves, and the subtle, clean scent of the threads themselves. Outside, the gentle murmur of the nearby canal was a soothing counterpoint to the absolute focus within. Yet beneath the calm surface, a familiar anxiety tightened its coils in her stomach. A small stack of unopened bills lay on the corner of her workbench, stark white against the rich colours of her craft. Orders were scarce. The world outside spun faster and faster, enamoured with the new, the quick, the digitally rendered, leaving crafts like hers demanding patience measured in seasons, adrift in its wake. Her hands, slender but strong, bore the map of her dedication. Tiny calluses, the occasional faded prick mark. They were hands that could coax dragons and peonies from mere threads, yet trembled slightly as she reached for a new strand of emerald green. Was this painstaking beauty still relevant? Did anyone truly see the lifetimes captured in her embroidery anymore? The jangling ringtone of her mobile phone shattered the workshop's tranquility. Meifeng startled, the needle pausing mid-air. It was her nephew, Jiang Wei, calling from Shanghai. She smoothed her simple indigo blouse, took a breath and answered. "Wei, is everything all right?" "Auntie, everything's great, better than great." His voice boomed, full of relentless Shanghai energy that always seemed slightly too loud for her quiet Suzhou world. "Listen, the big contemporary art fair is next month. You have to come. I've got connections. I can maybe get you a small booth space. It's time the world saw your amazing work." Meifeng hesitated, twisting a loose thread around her finger. Art fairs, she pictured cavernous halls, harsh lighting, crowds rushing past. "Wei, I don't know. My work is traditional." "Exactly. That's your niche, but we need to, package it right. Maybe focus on smaller pieces, faster turnover, or think about collaborations. I met this amazing digital artist, does incredible stuff with AI, sold NFTs for a fortune. Imagine your patterns but animated interactive." He barreled on, oblivious to the way his words landed like tiny stones on her confidence. "Your skill is incredible, Auntie, truly, but it takes forever. Nobody has the patience these days. We need to think about scale, about ROI. Return on investment." The phrase felt alien, coarse, applied to the phoenix slowly unfurling beneath her fingers, a creature born of patience and ancestral whispers. "It takes the time it takes, Wei," she said softly. I know, but the market." He sighed, a gust of youthful impatience. "Just think about it, okay? It's a huge opportunity. I'll send you the details. Gotta run, meeting. Love you, Auntie." The line clicked dead, leaving an echo of frantic energy and a fresh layer of doubt settling over Meifeng's spirit. He meant well, her way. He was ambitious, successful in his tech marketing world, and genuinely fond of her. But his world and hers, they spoke different languages. His language was speed, disruption, profit. Hers was subtlety, heritage, the slow unfolding of beauty. He saw her skill, yes, but framed it as a problem to be solved, an inefficiency to be overcome. A knot formed in her stomach, tight and cold. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was just a relic, stubbornly stitching away while the world moved on. She looked at the phoenix, its eye a single, perfect French knot. Was its intricate beauty merely slow? The trip to Shanghai felt like stepping onto a different planet. The bullet train devoured the distance between tranquil Suzhou and the sprawling electric metropolis in under an hour, but the cultural gap felt infinitely wider. Jiang Wei met her at the station, already talking a mile a minute, phone pressed to his ear intermittently as he navigated her through the thronging crowds towards the exhibition centre. The art fair itself was an assault on the senses. Vast halls echoed with a cacophony of voices, music and electronic hums. Harsh spotlights bounced off polished concrete floors and minimalist white walls, showcasing art that shouted, pulsed and demanded attention. Towering abstract sculptures jostled for space with flickering video installations and glossy, hyper-realistic paintings. Meifeng felt her small booth, tucked away in a less trafficked corner. Wei had managed to shrink into insignificance. She carefully arranged her pieces. The nearly finished phoenix, a smaller landscape panel depicting misty Jiangnan water towns, a few framed floral motifs. Against the backdrop of aggressive modernity, her delicate silk creations seemed fragile, whispering in a language few seemed inclined to hear. The first day was a blur of faces. People swept past, their eyes grazing over her work with polite disinterest before moving on to the next spectacle. Some paused, drawn by the colour. "Oh, pretty," a woman murmured, snapping a quick phone picture before drifting away. Another man picked up a small floral piece, squinted at the price tag, and set it down with a soft whistle. "Handmade, I see," he muttered, as if diagnosing a quaint but impractical illness. "Why so much? It's just fabric, isn't it?" Jiang Wei bustled over periodically, bringing lukewarm coffee in paper cups and offering streams of well-intentioned but deflating advice. "Auntie, maybe we should emphasize the investment angle, like heirloom quality." He lowered his voice. "Or, hear me out, what if we partnered with a fashion designer, your motifs on, like, limited edition sneakers? That's where the buzz is." He scanned the crowd, his eyes bright with possibilities that felt utterly alien to her. "Look at that guy selling digital prints. Huge crowd. We need something. Faster. More accessible." Each suggestion chipped away at her resolve, reinforcing the feeling that her life's work, the very core of her identity, was fundamentally mismatched with the times. She felt a familiar weariness seep into her bones, heavier than the hours spent hunched over her embroidery frame. Was she wrong to cling to this slow, painstaking art? Was her dedication just stubbornness? Just as despair threatened to engulf her completely, a young woman hesitated before her booth. She looked like a student, clutching a worn sketchbook, her eyes wide with curiosity. Unlike the fleeting glances of others, she leaned in close, her gaze tracing the lines of silk on the Jiangnan landscape. "Excuse me," she began shyly, her Mandarin soft after the surrounding din. "Is this Su embroidery?" Mei Feng nodded, surprised. "Yes, it is. The water, how do you make it look so fluid? Is that the Changzhen stitch you're using for the ripples?" The young woman pointed to a specific area, her finger hovering just above the silk. "And the mist, the thread colours are blended so perfectly." A tiny spark ignited within Mei Feng. This girl, Xiaoli she introduced herself as, saw the details. She knew the stitches. She asked questions born of genuine interest, not commercial calculation. For 10 minutes, they spoke the quiet language of the craft. Mei Feng explained the technique for blending threads to create atmospheric perspective, the history of the Changzhen stitch. Xiaoli listened intently, sketching rapid notes, her face alight with discovery. "It's incredible," she breathed finally. "It feels alive. Thank you so much for showing me." After Xiaoli left, the noise of the fair seemed less oppressive. The dismissive glances still stung, but the brief, genuine connection lingered. It wasn't a sale, wasn't a business opportunity, but it was something more vital, a moment of being truly seen. Yet, as she packed up her unsold pieces that evening, the weight of the day returned. Wei called again, enthusiastic about a company seriously interested in licensing her Phoenix design for mass-produced scarves. "Think about it, Auntie. Guaranteed money. They'll handle all the production, marketing. You just provide the design." The offer hung in the air, a tempting safety net that felt suspiciously like a cage. She pictured her Phoenix replicated endlessly on cheap polyester, its spirit lost in the translation. Could she bear it? Discouraged and confused, Mei Feng remembered a small card someone had pressed into her hand earlier, a quiet gallery owner who had briefly admired her work amidst the chaos. Chen Gallery, it read, with an address in a quieter part of Shanghai. On impulse, needing an escape from the relentless commercialism of the fair, she decided to visit the next day before returning to Suzhou. Chen Gallery was an oasis of calm. Located on a tree-lined street away from the city's frantic pulse, its entrance was unassuming. Inside, the space was serene, bathed in soft natural light. Works were displayed with generous space between them. Traditional ink paintings hung near thoughtful contemporary sculptures. Ceramics rested on simple wooden plinths. An elderly man with kind eyes behind round spectacles looked up from a book as she entered. "Mr. Chen." Mei Feng introduced herself hesitantly, explaining she had exhibited at the art fair. Mr. Chen nodded slowly, recognition dawning in his eyes. Ah, yes, the Sioux embroidery. Remarkable work. Please allow me to see it again, away from that environment. With trembling hands, Mei Feng unwrapped the phoenix piece and the Jiangnan landscape. She braced herself for another assessment of marketability, another suggestion for adaptation. Instead, Mr. Chen fell silent. He put on another pair of stronger reading glasses that hung around his neck and leaned in close, examining the stitches with an intensity that felt respectful rather than critical. He spent long minutes just looking, his expression thoughtful. Finally, he straightened up, removing his glasses. Lin Laoshi, he began. Using the respectful term for teacher or master, the precision is exquisite. But it's more than that. He gestured towards the phoenix. The tension in this satin stitch outlining the eye, perfect. It gives it life. And the blending of the silk threads here, he indicated the subtle colour shifts in the tail feathers, creates a gradient as luminous as watercolour. This specific technique, the way the light catches the layered Sioux stitch, one rarely sees it executed with such mastery today. Mei Feng felt her breath catch. He wasn't just seeing the surface. He was reading the language of her needles, understanding the choices made in every single thread. It's not just technique, Mr. Chen continued, his voice gentle but firm. There is shenyun, spirit resonance in this piece. It speaks of patience, of a deep connection to the tradition. It holds memory. He looked directly at her, his gaze filled with understanding. It is difficult in these times to hold on to such dedication when the world demands speed and novelty. Many compromise, but work like this has enduring value. Tears pricked at Mei Feng's eyes. It wasn't effusive praise, it was specific, knowledgeable, validating. He saw not just the object, but the hours, the heritage, the heart stitched into the silk. He saw her, for the first time since arriving in Shanghai. The knot in her stomach dissolved, replaced by a fragile warmth. He hadn't mentioned price or market trends or collaborations. He had spoken of mastery, spirit, and endurance. He had given her back a piece of herself that the noise of the fair had threatened to obliterate. Mr. Chen gestured towards a quiet corner of the gallery. I have a client, an architect who deeply appreciates traditional craftsmanship integrated into modern spaces. He has been searching for a significant piece, something with true lingqi, spiritual energy. Would you be open to discussing a commission? Or perhaps, he added thoughtfully, we could plan a small, focused exhibition here. Perhaps pairing your work with a young ink painter I represent who also explores traditional themes in new ways. It would not bring the frenzy of the fair, but it would reach an audience that understands. The offer settled gently in the quiet space, feeling resonant and right. It wasn't a promise of riches, but of respect. Just then her phone buzzed insistently. It was Wei again. She let it go to voicemail, needing a moment to absorb Mr. Chen's words. A moment later, a text message popped up. Auntie, great news. That scarf company loves the Phoenix. They're offering a 50,000 RMB advance for the license. Just need your okay. Easy money. Call me. 50,000 yuan. The number shimmered, a tangible solution to the stack of bills back in Suzhou. Easy money. Just sign away the Phoenix, let it be copied onto countless scarves detached from her hand, her intention, her spirit. She looked from her phone screen to the Phoenix resting on Mr. Chen's viewing table, its silk feathers catching the soft gallery light. Then she thought of Xiaoli's face, lit with genuine fascination for the how of a particular stitch. Later that evening, back in her small Shanghai hotel room, Mei Feng called Xiaoli. She didn't lay out the dilemma explicitly, but spoke about the fair, the different kinds of attention her work received. It's confusing, Mei Feng admitted, her voice low. What people seem to value. But your Phoenix, Lin Laoshi, Xiaoli interjected softly, the one you were working on? Seeing the way you built up the layers, the tiny stitches making the feathers seem to ruffle, no machine could ever copy that feeling. It's unique. It's real. Real. The word resonated. Xiaoli's simple, heartfelt observations solidified something within her. She knew what she had to do. The next morning, Mei Feng called Jiang Wei. She took a deep breath before speaking. Wei, she began, her voice calm but firm. Thank you for the offer from the scarf company. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I won't be accepting it. What? Auntie, are you crazy? It's 50,000. I know, but my work, it's not meant for that kind of reproduction. I've decided to work with Mr. Chen at the gallery. He's offered me an exhibition, possibly a commission. There was a stunned silence on the other end. A small gallery? Auntie, be realistic. What about the money? What about reaching more people? It's a different kind of reaching, Wei. It's about reaching people who understand the value of the work itself, the time and spirit invested in it. This feels right for me, for the craft. She didn't need him to understand, she realized. She just needed to state her choice, clearly and calmly. His sputtering protests eventually subsided into grudging acceptance. He still didn't fully get it, but he heard the finality in her voice. Her conversation with Mr. Chen was simpler. She accepted his offer for a small exhibition in the autumn. They spoke about potential themes, about the story behind the stitches. He connected her with the young ink painter he mentioned, sparking ideas for a dialogue between their different yet resonant art forms. Returning to Suzhou felt like coming home not just to a place, but to herself. The workshop welcomed her with its familiar scent of wood and silk, its gentle light. The stack of bills still sat there, but the anxiety surrounding it had lessened, replaced by a quiet sense of purpose. She wasn't chasing the phantom of mass appeal anymore. She had found a path, albeit a potentially slower, less lucrative one, that honored her craft and her spirit. She carefully pinned a